What's up, guys? Jackson Fuller here with sports writer with the Star News. I've got Jamie Noble, boys and girls soccer coach from Laney, again in the studio with me to talk some World Cup. The group stage is over, so we're almost at the most exciting part of the tournament. I know the group stage is kind of a fun time because you've got games, 3 games a day. This week we had 4 games a day, but now we really get into where there's going to be the highest of drama. My column this week about the World Cup kind of talks about Mexico's missed opportunity. Jamie, did you think ever after Mexico beat Germany 1-0 that they could possibly finish second in the group after that?
Yeah, really crazy for Mexico, going over the whole roller coaster of emotions from, big upset for them and put themselves in the driver's seat really to win the group, and then letting it get away from them on the last day. I think they're really going to regret that. Especially now as you look at the knockout round, they draw Brazil, so they got this dreaded curse of the, barely making it out of the group stage and then getting eliminated from the tournament. And, I think it's poised to continue.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the Mexico-Germany game at El Cerro, talking to some Mexican fans. I was like, what's the goal for this tournament? And of course we got to get to the quarterfinals. And now, I think they kind of expected to be here when the tournament started, playing Brazil in the round of 16, but one win against Germany and that completely flipped. They thought they would have an opportunity to play a weaker side. That's not happening anymore because they lost 3-0 to Sweden on Wednesday. But, I think they haven't had the worst history against Brazil recently. The last time they played them in a World Cup was 4 years ago. It was a 0-0 tie, but still, Brazil's got to be heavily favored in that.
Yeah, I think so, and like you said, by no means is Mexico, done or eliminated. Definitely have enough quality. Chucky Lozano's having a great tournament for them. Chicharito's shown up huge, so there's definitely, with Ochoa in goal, he's always capable of pitching a shutout. So there's enough quality there for them to do something special. But yeah, the task is tall for sure.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I wanted to spend just a really quick amount of time on is kind of the storyline of today, at least, was the Fairplay Rule. You had Mexico still on my mind. You had Senegal and Japan tied on points, second in Group H, and Japan ended up advancing because they had committed 2 fewer yellow cards. In my opinion, if there was a more clear and obvious, it's a terrible rule, but if there was a more clear and obvious solution, FIFA would have enacted it already. I mean, what are kind of your thoughts on just the Fair Play Rule and in the grand scheme of things, how, is it right as a soccer coach? Do you kind of teach your kids, let's be careful with yellow cards and such throughout the games, or is it something that, it just at the end, adding it up, it was unlucky for Senegal?
Yeah, I think you're right on a lot of points actually. It's definitely unlucky for Senegal. They've trained 4 years and gone through qualifying and come down to losing on the the 4th tiebreaker or whatever. And after this, it would have been just a sheer draw of lots, just pure luck. So ultimately, I think you have a chance to decide it on the field. So like you said, if there was a better tiebreaker scenario, maybe we would already be using it. But I do, in the spirit of the game, you always want to be playing the right way and being sporting while you're out there. So sometimes taking yellow cards is tough and it's part of the game. And sometimes, as we've seen the quickest yellow card in this tournament, we've seen one of the quickest red cards in this tournament. So it's part of it. So I do I don't love it as a tiebreaker, but I think it's a worthy component because the game should be played a certain way. For us in high school, we have yellow card tracking, so after 5 yellows, a player has to sit, and 10 yellows, 2 games, and so forth. So, we certainly always encourage them to try to play the right way. And, I kind of tell my kids, if you're playing hard and the referee thinks something you've done warrants the yellow card, then so be it. But if you're doing something silly like talking to an opponent, talking back to the referee, kind of showing not your best, those are things that, for me as a coach, is a teachable moment. So, I can sit you for a little bit and get you to calm down and think about what's really best for the team, rather than flaring up in an instant and doing something that we really regret.
Yeah, right. And I think my biggest, not issue, but the thing that makes it such a controversial rule for me is yellow cards are they're subjective. At the end of the day, you could have a ref that manages a game super tight, and you could have a ref that is kind of loose and doesn't, wants to avoid having a yellow card, or having a game with a bunch of cards. And at the end of the day, if there was an objective thing where this is what a yellow card is, every single time, but it's impossible to have those rules in soccer. So for me, making something so subjective like that decide who gets to go into the advance in the World Cup is kind of tough. Granted, I don't think either Senegal or Japan would make a deep run, but still, it's unfortunate for when a team, like you said, trains 4 years for this very moment and kind of gets ousted on a technicality of sort. But sweet, so we're just going to make some foolish predictions for you guys. We were talking earlier, my predictions so far are on a decent track. I don't think Jamie's are too far off, but Argentina's got him a little scared, and so does Spain, but I think that's the same for me as well. Okay, we're going to run down from the top of the bracket all the way to the bottom. The top of the bracket is Uruguay and Portugal, 2 p.m. Saturday. Jamie, who do you like?
I like Uruguay. I think they have a more balanced team, more complete team. They're very good defensively. They have some proven goal scorers in Luis Suarez and Edison Cavani. And they've looked really good in this tournament. Now, granted, the caliber competition hasn't been the best, but they've done what they're supposed to, taking care of their business, and not losing a match in the group stage. So, and for me, Portugal is kind of a one-man team, and I just don't know that at this point that Ronaldo can keep carrying them. And I just think over the course of a 90-minute game or 120-minute game, like Uruguay's more likely to find the back of the net than Portugal.
I agree. I think I'm also picking Uruguay. Crazy enough, I think Portugal is one mistake. If David De Gea makes a save against Ronaldo that he should make 99% of the time, Portugal's out. Iran moves on instead of them. So I think I just like the balance of Uruguay, and I think their defense is a little more solid than Portugal's. So the winner of that game will play the winner of France and Argentina, which is at 10 a.m. on Saturday. Are you going to stick with your Argentinian boys here, or do you have to jump ship now?
I'm sticking with my guns, and partially more for the fact that I don't believe in France.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't shown anything in the course of 3 games that make me think. I thought coming into the tournament they were superiorly talented, they're going to do well. They just haven't looked very joined together, but they just haven't played very smooth yet. So, maybe their best is still ahead of them. I don't know. But I think Argentina, maybe that light bulb has gone off because they've had some bad and some very good the other day with a clutch performance against Nigeria. So I just think maybe they found something they can ride for a little bit here.
I think you're right. France hasn't looked overly impressive, but to me they haven't terrified me like Argentina has against Croatia and at times against Iceland. So I'm going to pick France, but if Argentina were to win, it wouldn't be surprising at all just because of how pedestrian France has looked at times. I mean, they've got so many stars, and they haven't really been able to score multiple goals and really impress us.
It's a real crapshoot because you have 2 teams who are really Jekyll and Hyde, and you just don't know, like, if they're playing Saturday, if they were to play Friday or Sunday, maybe, it would be different results. So we'll just wait and see, but it should be interesting.
Sweet. Next up is Brazil versus Mexico, 10 a.m. on Monday. I like Brazil. I think Mexico, I think if they were playing on the other side of the bracket, they'd get through, but I just can't see Brazil losing this early in the tournament.
No, and I'm also picking Brazil, but I think the game's going to be tight. I think it's going to probably come down to penalties. I think it's going to go to a marathon there.
Cool. And then they will play the winner of Belgium and Japan, which is 2 p.m. Monday. Belgium, I think, is right now you got to say they're the most impressive team in the tournament. Just with today, they played a really boring match against England, but Hazard, Lukaku have been on fire. De Bruyne's been perfect in that midfield role, so I think Belgium should easily get past Japan.
I agree. I'm taking Belgium as well. I think they've played the most consistent football throughout the tournament. Like you said, at times look very bright. It's a lot of attacking power that they've got. So I think they have lived up to the hype so far this tournament, unlike France.
Sweet. So the team that you picked to win it all, when we first did our first video, Spain, they play Russia at 10 a.m. Spain's a team that I haven't been really that impressed with either. I think they've got so much talent, and they do their possession-based football and soccer. Oh God, I said football. So they at any time I think they could erupt and run through the tournament. I don't think Russia will trip them up, but I think there is cause for concern down the road for Spain.
No, definitely. Again, a team that comes in with a lot of hype and a lot of expectations, and maybe they haven't lived up to it yet. They were very close from possibly not going through or with the last 15 minutes of the last day of their group stage. So I think they get past Russia easily. It's good for the host nation in advance, but I think this is where their time ends.
Yeah, I agree. They'll play the winner of Croatia-Denmark, which will be 2 p.m. Sunday. that's really going to be a fun game for me. You got two great midfielders in Eriksen for Denmark and Modric for Croatia. Who do you like in that one?
I'm taking Croatia. I think they've, for those people who aren't real soccer insiders or don't follow international or even, domestic leagues, a lot, you're not familiar with all these Croatian players, but some very good players. And Luka Modric's having an awesome tournament. And for me, he's one of the key cogs in that Real Madrid team that, yes, Benzema, yes, Ronaldo, yes, Gareth Bale, all these stars, but he's one that really does a lot of the dirty work and goes unnoticed, but he's showing out at this tournament, so I think Croatia's poised to advance.
I like Croatia as well. I just think, I think Eriksen and Modric are close. I think Modric is a little bit better, but I think the surrounding cast is heavily favored for Croatia, and like you said, they've got a lot of talent. 10 a.m. Tuesday, the game that I think nobody's really looking forward to is Sweden and Switzerland. Sweden, the surprise team of the tournament so far, winning their group with Germany and Mexico. I like Switzerland. I think that they just have a little bit more talent, and I trust them a little bit more than Sweden, although Sweden's played 3 good games so far.
Yeah, probably on paper coming into the tournament or even in the group stage, you wouldn't think that this is even possible given the teams that were in the way, but give Sweden credit. They have found a way to get it done. After a heartbreaking loss to Germany, to be able to bounce back and pull themselves off the mat with a big result against Mexico. But I'm like you, I like Switzerland. I think Shaqiri is a very good player, and we'll find a way to unlock that Swedish defense.
Yep. And the final game that I think I'm most looking forward to is England and Colombia, which will be 2 p.m. on Tuesday. Just a really great matchup because you have a Colombian team that kind of has some experience doing well at these bigger tournaments. Last time they were in the World Cup, they lost in the quarterfinals. This England team is so young. Kind of nervous that they didn't really go for a win today, and they were okay with finishing second in their group. I think that's never a good omen when you have a tough opponent right away like Colombia. Who do you like in that game?
Yeah, I was watching the game today, England and Belgium, thinking, do you even really want to win this game? Because you have a tough game with Colombia waiting for you if you finish second, but then maybe your quarterfinal matchup is a little easier. So as a coach, you always want to win the game. So I can't even think about, do we really want to win the game? But I think a lot of it depends on the health of James Rodriguez. He's huge for Colombia, and if he's not able to go, I think that's advantage England, and maybe this kind of flying under the radar, being without all the hype and expectations, has been good for England because in the past maybe they've not been able to live up to those unreal lofty expectations, but I think they've done well, and despite their performance today, they played very well. So I think England will come out and then maybe even make a deeper run beyond that.
Yeah, I think you're right. If James doesn't play, I think England's got to be the clear favorites. If he does, it's going to be really close. I just think England has, in a weird way, less question marks than Colombia does. I think they still have a lot of question marks, especially at the back of that 3-man defense. But there's more reliability there, that you have big players that I just feel like are going to be able to step up. And I have to pick them because they were my bold pick to have a good run. And if they win that game, they're just 1 win away from the semifinals, which would be incredible for this young England team and a really good sign of the future.
Absolutely.
So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. Be sure to read my column in the Star News. It comes out Friday. It's online now, and everybody have a great 4th of July.